This year seems to be the hardest one for me to move on from. This is the first Christmas season in many years that we have had all my siblings and their families together, and it was pure joy. We played so hard, laughed so hard, and stayed up until 5 a.m. most nights enjoying each other's company. So the thought of taking down Christmas and moving on has been kind of heartbreaking in a sense. But everyone is home, and life does keep moving forward. January is a strange month. The bittersweet endings coupled with the promise and hope of new chances and fresh starts. Historically, January has been my least favorite month of the year for as long as I can remember. But I have become quite aware that I have a talent for finding joy in little things, so I decided to start my Christmas undecorating by putting that talent to use. I made a list to remind myself of what I'm looking forward to this month and in the coming days and weeks. Fresh starts, new holidays to enjoy, new goals, and planner setups, fresh snow, and twilight ski trips are in store. Not to mention the days are slowly getting longer and the sunsets are getting slightly later. We're also going to be planting our garden and starting seeds indoors pretty soon, so I'm really looking forward to that. So after taking in Christmas for just a moment longer, I got to work. Our tree was live this year and it had to be taken down because our city would be collecting it this week, so I couldn't put it off any longer. This was mine and Riley's first Christmas cutting down our own Christmas tree, and it was such an adventure. We had so much fun going hiking in the mountains and finding it. And I shared all about that in my Christmas Decorate with Me. But now it's time to undecorate and to take this tree down. It has been so fun and joyful to have in our home. I'm just storing our ornaments and everything in a popcorn tin. This is something my mom always did growing up, and it's nice because we can keep the popcorn tin for decoration, but it also helps protect the ornaments. I also I'm keeping our dried oranges in a Ziploc to prevent any moisture from getting in, as well as our popcorn garland that Riley and I made back when we were dating. As long as you keep these dried foods in a Ziploc, they'll stay good for years to come. Next, I rolled our ribbon and I used some paper clips to secure it in place, one on each end just to make sure it wouldn't go anywhere. After taking off the lights, I soaked in the smell of pine one more time before taking it out of its stand. Because the tree had lost most of its water weight, it was actually pretty light at this point. One thing that was really cool about cutting down our own tree is it stayed fresh so much longer than any tree that I've ever gotten from a lot. And if you think about it, you don't really know when they cut down the trees they put on the lot, whereas ours we cut down and immediately could put in water and keep it fresh and lasting longer. Our area allows permits for getting trees, and they only give out so many permits per year, and you're required to go into densely forested areas to find these trees, and by eliminating a few trees every year, it helps give room for new growth. And so there's only so many permits they give out, and we're glad we were able to get one because this year was a really special memory, and we hope to be able to do it in years to come. Our tree out to the side of the house, and later I will get it ready to be prepped for being picked up by our city. Our city requires your tree to be no taller than 4 feet, or else you have to cut it into 4 feet pieces, so I'll be doing that another day. I emptied out the water from the stand, and also I just wanted to show you, I used an Altoids container to store old ornament hooks, and then to store my lights, I actually cut up strips of cardboard. And then obviously once you do this, you can reuse them every year. But this year we got a lot of new lights for our new house. And so I basically cut these strips of cardboard, wrap them in lights, and I keep the strands of lights together. So for example, these are all from our live Christmas tree. So I kept those strands hooked together and just wrapped the entire bundle around this piece of cardboard. And this keeps lights from getting tangled together. And then on the cardboard, I labeled what these strands of lights are for, which is so helpful because certain areas of the house need more or less lights, and this is kind of perfectly measured out now. This is exactly how many lights we need for our tree. And I did this all across our house with our banister, with our fake small tree that we have downstairs in our family room. And then I just put those pieces of cardboard into a box that is our light box, and it's so easy to find and so easy to store and take out again. And it's so nice unwrapping them because you can just unravel them as you're wrapping it around a tree or a banister, and they store so nicely. After taking down a few more decorations, I put back our advent calendar. This advent calendar is something my parents gave us a few years back, and we love it. It has these pages, so it comes with a book, and each page is a story about this little family called the Stapp family, and basically their children are asking them questions, and they talk about it as a family and explain the different symbols of Christmas and how it relates to Christ, and it comes with scriptures and songs that go with each day, and then there's a little ornament that matches the theme of that day, and it stores so nicely in this cute little wooden box, and I really loved that. After cleaning up the decorations in the living room, I got to work sweeping. If you've ever had a live tree, you understand that the mess it makes is unparalleled. You will be finding pine needles for the rest of forever, but it is worth it, in my opinion. Then I went to the kitchen and got to work on taking down our cabinet decorations, and honestly, our kitchen looked so bare and stark and white, and I've got to figure out what to do next because I like having color. I'm not like a stark white kind of person. I like color, and I think it brings joy to our lives. So, I don't know, maybe some fun Valentine's decorations on top of the cabinets are in store. I'll kind of have to play around with that and see. I also took down our snowflakes above our window. I thought this was such a fun touch this year, and we got a lot of comments from people that visited our home, so I think the snowflakes were a hit for sure. I took down the banister as well, and all of these little pieces of foliage and little tiny ornaments and sprigs that I used, I saved in a bin all by itself so that when I go to decorate things like the banister or the fireplace mantle next year, it will be a lot easier. I started taking down our fireplace mantle, but I decided we needed one more night to enjoy it, so I stopped. Instead, we had one final movie night by the fire. The next morning, we had to hurry and cut up our tree because the city was coming to pick it up. We heard the snowplow coming and we thought it was the garbage, so we panicked and ran outside. Luckily, we still had a few more hours before they even came. My husband shoveled the walkway while I cut up the tree with my jigsaw, and then I also took down our archway because these needles were getting super dry and brittle, and I just undid all the lights and everything, and I made sure to save all of the wire that I possibly could so that I could reuse them next year when I make my wreaths and my garlands and everything. I also disassembled my live wreaths, at least this one I did. We do have one hanging above our door, but we have to get on the roof in order to take it down. And we just had a snowstorm, so our roof is super icy, and we need to wait to get up there. So I just disassembled this one in the meantime. I took off the ornaments and the lights, and then I made sure to save, once again, as much of that wire as possible for next year's projects. Then I went back inside to work on that little fake tree and our fireplace mantle area, and it was sad to see this go, but it will be nice to have a clean slate and a little bit more space. I took off the baby's breath, which I think I'm going to actually still use. It dried really nicely, so I'm going to use it in some Valentine's decorations. I also took off the lights, and the nice thing about fake trees is they do come off in 3 parts on their own. You don't have to saw them. And I just packaged that up and put it into storage. We are very blessed to have a storage room in our basement. I'm so grateful for it. That's where we keep this seasonal decor when we're not using it. Next, I got to work with our fireplace mantle. I started by taking off the star garland I made out of cardboard, if you guys remember that video, and I just kind of unfolded the stars and laid them flat, and they folded up pretty nicely. They were able to lay flat, and then I just grabbed the string and wrapped that around the stars to store them nice and secure, and I can use these again next year. I've been actually really surprised by how many more decorations I have to pack up this year than I did last year, because I really didn't spend very much money on new decorations this year, but I made a lot of things, and you guys have seen that. I've shared that in my videos, all these craft projects and things that I've made, so it's interesting how quickly that can accumulate. But I do take pride in knowing that I really didn't spend much money on Christmas decorations, and these decorations and crafts that I created do bring joy and memories, and I love the Christmas spirit that they bring to our house, so I will gladly store them for next year. I tried to put all of our just decorations in one bin, and then in another bin I had things like sprigs and ornaments and things that we use to decorate garland or trees or things throughout the house. And then in another bin I have all of our Christmas books and some unfinished projects, as well as our advent calendar. When it comes to storing fragile items, I like to use things like our stockings or dish towels or some fake snow to keep things secure, because those are things I have to store anyway, and they can help pad some of those more fragile items. After packing up all of these decorations, I was able to put the lid on them, and this is what I was left with. It's definitely a bittersweet feeling to see all of these decorations packed up and to be moving on from Christmas, but I am excited to decorate for Valentine's Day and share new crafts and ideas with you guys. I'll see you in the next video.